Marquette Hall of Famer Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station.
It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee, alongside former Packer Bryan Bulaga. Here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
The best 60 minutes of your day, because it's the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour, and Jason Wilde will be on in about 14 minutes. I will admit, it's getting worse, Bryan, as the week goes on. How is it for you? Is it getting worse? I know Brian's there. I just can't hear him. Uh-oh. There he is. Should I be able to hear him? No, I'm not. How about now? Still don't. Should I be on WKTI program? Still can't hear him. I can hear you.
Maybe his mic is muted. Let me see if.
Hold on. Now I can talk. Still can't hear him. It's terrible mic set. Terrible.
Got me now.
Yep, I got you now.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay,
All right, now,
good.
I said it's getting worse. Is it getting worse for you this week?
Like the anticipation or
Well,
the...
The last time I can remember thinking like this was when the Packers played against the Rams and Kurt Warner, when the Rams were so good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're planning to go like, it's over. They have no chance to beat this team? And then he threw 6 interceptions, and that's what people remember. But there was another year where they lost to Atlanta, and everybody on the team was injured. Jason. But anyway, I thought, even if the Packers win, they got to play in Detroit against the Lions. I mean, the lesson of this season is going to be, don't be a 7th seed.
Well,
if you're a 7th, if you're a 7th seed, you got no chance, because it's possible. I mean, I think they're like the only or one of the only 7 seeds to win when they won last year. Even if they do it 2 years in a row and then lose to Detroit, what have you accomplished? I mean, you've accomplished a significant win, but it didn't even get you to the NFC Championship game.
Go ahead.
I
mean, it's tough sledding being a 7 seed. I mean, you're 100% right. Like, I mean, you go from playing the second best team to the first best team. It's really, it's a tough situation, and I don't know if I look at it as having no hope or if I feel worse about it than I did on Monday. Like, I think I feel just about the same. I think the indication coming out of Philly that Hurts is looking really good and all that. Like, I don't know if that's a bunch of white noise or how to take that at this point, right? Like, I think no matter how he was looking, they were going to say that. So I don't know, because then I also think back to when, what year was that when Brady hurt his hand in the practice against the Jaguars and had the stitches and they didn't know, and he came out and played well and they won. And so, like, you never really know how a guy is in practice based on, what what the team's saying or what the media's saying or whatnot. But
Pebble, you said it was 2018?
2018 for Brady.
Yeah.
yeah. So like, you don't really know how he's doing. But I will say this, like, I know there's going to be some rust from him because he hasn't played in 2 weeks and he's jumping right into the playoffs. And no matter who you are, right? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, whoever, at the quarterback position, it's such a demanding position that you take that much time off and then jump right back in the playoffs. There's going to be some misfires early on. Now, can you recover from that? Absolutely, you can. And for it, in his situation, with the weapons he has, yeah, he can recover. Now, it's up to Green Bay, which I think is a big deal. It's up to Green Bay to put the pressure on him to try to win the game, right? You got to take away Saquon.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to take away you got to sell out to take away Saquon and make Hurts win the football game. And that would be what if I was in the defensive meeting room, that would be my approach.
Yeah, now you gave me one. Jalen Hurts is going to be rusty, even if he's 100%. And I know you talked about concussions. I may have told you this before, but I believe I am the national expert on concussions. I've had multiple from the time I was young, and I have had a variety of which. And the way anybody, and you can sue me if you want, the way anybody should judge a concussion is by how long is their loss of memory. Now, when you play football, and it was Brett Favre, got hit, didn't remember who he was, and he went back in the game. But he, I'm sure, recalled memory by that night or early the next morning, which, by my standard, is a really good concussion. You want to know what a bad concussion is? 2 days later, you lose track of a day. You don't even remember the day. The worst one I had happened Friday overnight. Monday, I fly back here and spend all day in the hospital talking to people. I don't remember any of it. And Wednesday, which is 5 days later, a friend said to me, "You're a mess." My point, you don't need to be a doctor to know how bad a concussion is. Now, if they get even worse than that, you can throw up some, or you have to be in a dark room. But the thought of a loss of where you are is not an indication of how bad. In fact, as I said, if you remember, because as a kid playing tackle football, I had 3 concussions where I left and didn't remember where I was, but by the next morning I was fine. And I had no other baby. At the age of 9, I got knocked down on a street playing wiffle ball in a field that they should have put all the parents in prison because it had 3 roads intersecting and all of us should have died. I started throwing up. That's bad. Throwing up
it's not a good
is bad. So, I don't know what the situation is in regards to the NFL protocol, but the Homer protocol, I guarantee you, is more and all that you need to know. And if I'm wrong, please set me straight, Bryan Bulaga, because I'm curious to see how I could be wrong.
No, I mean, listen, I think now I'm certainly not a medical expert on.
All right, so you had some playing football. How were you?
Yeah.
Did you ever lose track of where you were and who you are?
I lost track of memory at times. Yeah, like at the time.
The time. But by the next morning, I would assume you were fine.
Yes, the next morning I remembered pretty much everything. I mean, probably the worst one I had. I remember it was when I got one in LA, and I remember just for probably 2 or 3 days, just kind of being in a bad mood, like angry. Like that's what I remember. No throwing up or anything, but just agitated for a few days, which I'd never really had. But that was probably the worst one that I remember or recall. But besides that, like, you're kind of spot on. Like if you're able to start recalling things really quick, that's normally a pretty good sign. And we don't know what Jalen Hurts had going on, right?
Right.
Like,
here's my
we're
point.
Not privy to that.
A teammate of yours shows up on Monday after having a bad concussion. His teammates aren't letting him play.
Yeah,
they aren't letting him play. They'll look and go, "Doc, get the doc." Dude is because it's that bad. And again, so where it gets from not remembering where you are, which I want to emphasize is what players talk about. I think that to me is a minor concussion, and a doctor can call if he wants, but I think I know I'm right. But then when it gets to where you're talking about, different things happen. But no one ever has to worry. Long before you had these concussion protocols, that a player with a bad concussion was going to play. There's no way. Because he wouldn't be able to function even close to normal at practice. And everybody would say, I don't know if you even had to address that. Have you ever addressed that with a player who came and just like, dude, you don't have to say to a person, hey, somebody, he's got problems.
I've never seen it. Like,
okay.
I've never seen a guy like.
Okay.
Like, I mean, obviously, I've seen guys get concussed, right? Like, I mean, I've seen plenty of it, but I've never seen a guy try to re-enter, and he was so bad that guys looked at him like, what's wrong with you? Like, you got to get out. Like, there's something, like, normally they take care of that. It's very clear. And most of the time, like you said, like, if a guy gets pulled from a concussion, right, and guys on the field see it and they know it's bad. Like, guys know when it's a bad one, right? The teammates know when it's a bad one, or it appears to be a bad one, right? I guess not all. Yeah. It's not a one size fit all,
and it's been this way for 50 years. It didn't just change when you had the protocol.
No, but guys are protective of their teammates. If they see something, they're going to be like, "Dude, you're not coming back out here."
Yeah,
like you're just not. You're not coming back out. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. And they would tell the trainers and listen. I mean, but that's just, at least that's the way I always.
When Brett Favre didn't remember where he was, he still had to go back in, call the next play, called it normally. There was nobody going, Brett doesn't even know where he is, or, he makes up some numbers or anything. I don't know. But anyway, on to enough on that, because, we don't know, but my guess is Jalen Hurts is fine. But again, he is rusty. There's no question about that. That could be a huge edge. And I think everybody says Philly's been goofy at times with their head coach, and I just haven't watched every game. But they've had moments where they've really disappointed people. Now, I'm guessing as of recently, it's everything's kind of been rolling, but they're
Yeah, they've been pretty good as of late. But no, like, listen, every team can have a moment that they, look like they're not themselves, right? Like, and we've seen it with Green Bay this year. I mean, we saw it last week. It was very clear, right? Like, we saw how Green Bay played last week in Chicago, and that did not look like the Green Bay that we are used to seeing play. So, like, it can happen, and I'm not saying that that's what we should rely on to happen to beat Philly. Like, you can't rely on something like that to beat a good team in the playoffs. You can't count on that.
But I don't see any way the Packers win. You can just tell me I'm wrong 100 times. I don't see any way the Packers win unless they get some help from the Eagles. Could be turnovers, whatever.
Well, I mean, you got to get help, but at the same time, like, you create that help for yourself.
Okay.
Like, unless it's literally like someone, a fumbled snap or something like that. Like, that's not, you're not creating that. That's a fumbled snap or a fumbled handoff or something like that. But everything else, like turnovers and things like that, are normally things that you create as a defense or things like that. Or if there's blown coverages, well, most of the time when there's blown coverages, there's good routes run, there's good concepts, and guys are confused, and things like that happen. So, we need some things to happen our way, but a lot of the time that's created by the guys on the field. Like, those mistakes are created by the opponent. So, like, I'm all on board with that, but there's cause and effect, and that's what Green Bay needs a lot of. They need to be able to cause issues for Philly, and that's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You're right, it's not going to be easy, but they're going to need some of that to come out of there with a win.
And everybody should know. And I apologize that if you haven't been made aware of this. What was the Eagles' score in last year's playoff game? Pebble, do you know?
No idea.
Yeah, everybody should know, because Bryan Bulaga will have Jason Wilde in a second here. Bryan, do you know the score last year of the playoff game, the one the Eagles played?
Who did they play?
Tampa Bay.
Who'd they play? Oh, Tampa. Did Tampa beat? I think Tampa beat them, right?
32-9.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
I knew.
Everybody in the state of Wisconsin, when asked, how can the Packers win? Pebble, what's their answer? 32-9. Now, there are some issues as far as who played, but the reality is the Eagles' last playoff game, they lost 32-9. Now, everybody can look it up. They started the season strong, and then they were fading badly. But they've lived it. 30. Yeah, Pebble asked me, what's the Packers' chance to beat Philly?
32-9?
32-9. That's the score of the last Eagles. We'll see. Bryan, you and Jason can talk, but I just have a favor that your first question to him is, what was the score of Philadelphia's last playoff game? Can you do that first for me?
Yeah, I can ask him that.
All right,
Right
that's coming next. Jason Wilde and Bryan Bulaga.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Eastbound 94 slowing down just a bit coming out of the Barker Road area towards Brookfield Road, then back on the brakes from 84th Street all the way to about 35th. The westbound side still heavy from 25th Street all the way past Mitchell Boulevard, almost to Hawley Road. Southbound 41, watch for those brake lights coming on just south of Appleton Avenue. You're going to ride those brakes all the way down past Capitol. And then southbound 43, heavy from Fond du Lac Avenue down through the Marquette and over the high-rise bridge. Again, slowing down past Lincoln. Traffic is brought to you by Fisco Auto Body. Call Fisco Auto Body to help with all body repair needs. Fisco. And check out the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight. Chance for light snow later on, mostly cloudy otherwise, a low of 23. Tomorrow, a few morning showers, snow showers, I should say, mostly cloudy with a high of 31. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Greg Matzek, Gary Ellerson, the day after reaction show you need in your life.
This offense, Matt LaFleur's side of the ball, dragged this whole team through where they are right now.
It's Potawatomi Sportsbook Football Mondays with Greg and Gary.
The defense got hot at the right time. That might be what we're seeing here with the Packers defense as well.
Live from the Potawatomi Sportsbook Studios from 6 to 8 p.m. every Monday on 94.5 ESPN.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, the certainty of protection and income are the keys to success. And as a former NFL player myself, I have experience with both. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game films helped me mentally prepare for the challenges ahead. Now I star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Retirement Deception to help you visualize and prepare for your fourth quarter of life. You see, you don't retire on your nest egg, but rather the income it can produce. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. And it's free for you to view. Call 855-620-1801 right now for your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Don't risk your retirement savings at the goal line. You don't need to be risky to have a winning strategy. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free streaming code to watch The Retirement Deception. Call today. 855-620-1801. That's 855-620-1801. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
James Imaging Systems. Local support, local accountability, local business technology representatives. Listen to Matheson Manufacturing President Al Leidinger.
She still checks in to see how things are going and if we need anything. So I really do appreciate that from a customer service standpoint.
Michael Quizan, IT Systems Administrator at Great Midwest Bank, discovered the benefits of working with the local team at James.
Our cost from supplies perspective went down. I mean, we're talking about thousands in a year. So we saved a lot of money by bringing James Imaging on.
James Imaging Systems client Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra, on dealing with James.
They are making sure you get the full value and life of every product that you have with them.
Local support, local accountability, local people. Get it all with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $750 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellerson, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a two-man scramble at Pebble Beach, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at wisconsindoorgolfcenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through January 31st. Your winter chance to play Pebble Beach awaits. wisconsindoorgolfcenter.com.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Yes, it is, and it's time for the Bryan Bulaga Homer Hour. Bryan Bulaga with Jason Wilde. Take it away, future Packer Hall of Famer.
Jason, good evening. How are you?
I am great. I had one of the best days at work that I've had in a long time. So I am in a great mood. So Homer, don't ruin it.
Good. Well, that's great. But I want to first ask you, do you recall what Philly's last playoff game score was?
Their last playoff game score when they lost to Tampa last year?
Yes.
I do not.
32-9. I'm done.
Yeah, that Homer wanted me to ask if you remembered. He figured you would remember.
Was I supposed to? Should we?
I don't think
what's,
you were.
What's the best chance? This is the last time we'll talk. What's the best chance the Packers have to win? 32-9. Everybody needs to know the Eagles score in their last playoff game.
What does that have to do with the price of pickles in Park Slope?
You're supposed to answer that.
But so moving to this year, then, Jason, what do you think, in your opinion, what does Green Bay have to do to go to Philadelphia and get a win? What does it have to look? What does it have to look like for Green Bay to go in there and get a win?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a few things, right? I mean, first of all, Josh Jacobs has to run the football really well, right? Like, they have to, and that's a really good defensive front they're going to be going against. So that is where, at least in my opinion, it would have to start, is that they're going to have to run the ball well. Then they're going to have to protect Jordan Love better than they did in Minnesota, against, again, what I would argue is an even better defensive front. I mean, Zach Vaughn, the former Badger, is playing great. Like, they're just a really, really good defense. So those are my first two things on the to-do list. Then I guess after that, we just got done with Halfley a little while ago. Like, what exactly, when you look at this defense, what exactly do you say is the priority to stop? Or this offense as a defense? Is it stopping Saquon Barkley? Because obviously you would love to do that. Is it making sure that they don't allow Jalen Hurts to get out and make a bunch of plays with his legs? Is it not letting them get big plays down the field to A.J. Brown? Like, I'm not trying to paint a picture that they don't have a chance to win, but kind of like I said earlier in the week, I think when we were talking on our show, like, I kind of feel like they have to play, if not a perfect game, a near perfect game. They just don't have a lot of margin for error. And if Homer's going to focus on 32-9, I would say that they have to hope that with a quarterback who will have thrown 4 passes in the last month because of his concussion, that they're going to need Jalen Hurts to be off to make things easier for them, win the turnover battle, and then I think they've got a shot.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that. But did you guys ask Halfley, like, kind of what? I mean, he's obviously not going to tell you what they're going to try to take away, but did he I don't know. Did he kind of lean a certain way? Like, did he say they're stressing the importance of what they did week one and how Saquon kind of had a coming out party and what they did week one and what their deficiencies were stopping him to what they have seen him evolve over the season and what they need to do in this, playoff game to kind of shut down that part of their offense to make Jalen Hurts beat them?
Yeah, I think, I mean, he, like you said, and you obviously know this better than anyone, they don't want to tell us what the game plan is, but I think he gave us some breadcrumbs that Hansel and Gretel can follow. One, he basically said they can't defend Hurts the way they did the first time, like with that mush rush or whatever they called it. That didn't work, right? I mean, they didn't get any pressure on him. He didn't kill them until he did, right? Because he had the one run late. That was a big run.
I hate to interrupt. Why did they think it would work? Did he answer that?
Well, no. Well, why would we ask him why he thought it would work in week one when he just got done telling us they're not going to do it now?
I know, but I mean, as a defensive coordinator, what do I think of a guy who says this is what we did in week one and it didn't work? Well, why do we assume you're going to have it right this time when you had it wrong the first time?
I thought I told you not to ruin. I thought I told you not to ruin my mood. Yeah, I mean, first of all, like, don't you want somebody that acknowledges that something didn't work as opposed to saying it didn't work, but we're going to do it again because we think it's the right thing to do? Secondly, like, I think there's plenty of defensive coordinators that thought the best way to handle Jalen Hurts was to do that, so he didn't beat you with his legs, right? Quite frankly, they should have done that against Caleb Williams in the first meeting with the Bears because Caleb Williams, the only thing they really did well offensively was him running, except for the one Swift touchdown that they had. So, I think that's part of it, is that they're not going to rush them the same. They have to pick their spots but be better. And by the way, they've finished 5th in the NFL in total defense and 6th in scoring defense and 4th in takeaways. Like, can we agree that Jeff Hafley was a huge upgrade over Joe Barry and that he's a good defensive coordinator?
Yes. I can agree with that.
Yes, I'm in that club. So Thanks for asking.
Okay, why do you want me to ask them that question when we have a finite number of questions anyway? So that's part of it. I also think that if you look back on that first game, which I know was forever ago, but in that first game, they actually did a pretty darn good job on Saquon Barkley until that he didn't, right? I mean, for 3 quarters and change, he had the one catch on a rail route that was a big play, obviously. But, like, the touchdown that he had, or the big run that he had, interestingly enough, came against Homer's guy, Edgerrin Cooper, lining up in the wrong place, which made that play possible. Now, that goes to, again, how different things are now, because now Hafley said it today, like, the guy's just been too damn good. They have to play him more. And they have the last 2 weeks. Obviously, it helped in terms of snaps being available that they did not have Quay Walker. And I'm curious to see what the snap distribution becomes if Walker is available on Sunday. But, like, Edgerrin Cooper was this, like Bambi newborn fawn that they knew had some talent, but and showed it in that game. But then he screwed up and gave up the touchdown, and you were like, okay, we got to get him out of the game. So my point is that their defense has evolved over the course of the year. We know it's turned out to be good, but I mean, there's against this Philly offense and failed. And we'll see if they're the next one or if they actually are able to unlock something that allows them to squelch both Jalen Hurts and the passing game and Saquon Barkley and beat them 32-9. I would add, by the way, that they have a different offensive coordinator than they had a year ago. Kellen Moore has come in after, a couple of different stops. He was with McCarthy in Dallas. He was in L.A. with the Chargers. I mean, I think he's come in, and they've really meshed, his approach with what they want to be able to do with Barkley and Hurts, and it's worked really well for them offensively too. So, again, I don't know how effectively Hafley is going to figure out how to stop their offense. Just like I'm curious to see what Matt LaFleur can conjure up to be better against one of the best defenses and the best defense against the pass in the entire league. It goes back to something, Tausch and Bryan and I were talking about this week. Like, to me, the most valuable thing would be, they're going to be keying on Jacobs. You want to give Jacobs the ball. If you can get your play action game to work a heck of a lot better than it has for a good portion of the season, I think that gives you a much better chance of winning.
Yeah, so, I mean, also, we kind of saw, obviously, week one, Jair was available against those receivers, and those receivers, if I recall, had a good day. If I recall, I think they did. I'm pretty sure they did. Is there any concern? I mean, are you concerned about how these guys could fare against the guys we currently have out there right now without him there?
Yeah, for sure. Now it's interesting because A.J. Brown did not practice today. He's got a knee issue that's bothering him, but it sounds like what they're doing is basically what they wanted to do with you with practice, but you wouldn't do it because you needed the work. That they're trying to kind of, rest him today. I'm sure he'll be limited tomorrow in hopes of getting that knee as right as they can before he has to play on Sunday. But if you remember, I mean, if you're sensing a theme, they did a pretty good job on A.J. Brown, except for the 67-yard touchdown he had, right? I mean, that's the problem with good offenses that have a bunch of talent at a bunch of different spots. We just have gone through three of their players, him, Barkley, and Hurts, and you could say they did a pretty good job on all three of them with one major exception. Well, that's welcome to the NFL, right? You make that one mistake, and then you're losing the game because that's what happens. So, from a pass coverage standpoint, I was talking to Keyshawn Nixon today, and Keyshawn Nixon, somebody asked him about A.J. Brown, who he had covered in college when he was at South Carolina and A.J. Brown was at Ole Miss. And, I mean, he's a big physical wide receiver. And, we were asking him questions about how you cover him and how it went the first time. And Keyshawn was like, I was in the slot. I didn't cover him at all. That's another example of how their defense is different. I doubt they're going to play him in the slot. I don't think they want. I think they want him and Valentine outside full time. And then, the question becomes, what are they going to do in nickel? Because last week, if you remember, they didn't have Evan Williams. So they played Bullard in the slot, and they played Katan Oladapo, who had, I don't even know if he'd played on defense before last week. So, I talked to Evan Williams today. He is a go for Sunday. So having him at safety alongside Xavier McKinney obviously changes that. It frankly frees up McKinney because he doesn't have to worry about Evan Williams as much as he may be worried about Bullard or Zane Anderson or KT. So that certainly helps there. But it also means that they can go with kind of a straightforward look. Evan Williams is going to play safety full-time, assuming nobody re-injures anything or whatever else. Evan Williams is going to play safety full-time next to X. We're going to play Keyshawn Nixon outside full-time. We're going to play Harrington Valentine outside full-time. This is me talking as Jeff Hafley. And then we're going to play Bullard in the slot. That's all he's got to focus on. And maybe that's a good enough combination. I don't like to beat up on Eric Stokes, especially since he's had some pretty good games lately. But, I I don't know if I want him trying to cover A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith with the game on the line, right? I mean, he's been inconsistent, played better lately, so it's a huge challenge. And let's not forget, they've got a pretty darn good tight end who they've gotten back now, and Goddard too. So I'm looking forward to this. I don't think, the only thing that'll surprise me, I will not be surprised if they win. I will not be surprised if they lose. I don't think they will win, but I'm open to being wrong. The only thing that'll surprise me is if they get blown out. 32-9, perhaps, by the Eagles. If they lose big, that will surprise me. I think this is going to be a nip and tuck game the whole way through, and I think the Eagles will come out on top, but there's certainly a path for them to victory.
Yeah, I agree. I've been saying it all week. I don't see Green Bay getting run out of the gym. I just don't see it. I mean, they've played these good teams tight all year. I just don't see them getting run out of the gym. I think the way they play and how they play, I can't see it. So I'm with you. I would be surprised if the football game goes that way. So I think it's going to be a great game. And how it ends up is what I always say in playoff games is the fine margins of the game and how those small things go throughout the game. And that's how playoff games are decided.
Yeah, I would, but they can't do what they did with the Vikings in the first meeting. They can't do what they did with the Lions in the first meeting. No. Frankly, they can't do what they did with the Vikings in the second meeting either. Like the second Lions game, they got down 17-7. But remember, they took the lead. They went up 28-24 at one point. If I don't want to see them, if I'm a Packers fan, I do not want to see them trail. I don't want to see them trail by double digits at all. But anything more than 10, I do not want to see that happen because I think that makes it, I don't want to say insurmountable, but you saw what they did against the Lions in the second meeting. They came back from 17-7. But, I think they cannot get off to one of those starts where they're then digging out the ocean with a soup spoon because they're so far behind.
Jason, was that the longest I didn't talk?
It is a league record, yes.
Yes!
32-9.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, guys, take care. Be good.
Jason Wilde, all Packers all the time. I will explain to Bryan Bulaga why I would want to know from Hafley about the first game. Because he's a good coach, and it means he had a strategy. And why was he so wrong on the strategy? Not that he's a bad coach, but what did Philly do that surprised you so much that you had to admit that it was bad? Like I would say to Bryan Bulaga, if Aaron Rodgers did something and said it didn't work, you'd want to know, well, how did that happen? And he would certainly have an answer and someone else to blame. Next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
We've got an accident now on 894 southbound, right about at Beloit Road, off on the right shoulder. So watch out for delays there and beyond. We've got delays all the way down through the Hale onto 894 eastbound. Eastbound 94, heavy from 76th Street all the way through the Stadium interchange to 35th. Westbound is backed up from 20th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. And then on southbound 41, very heavy from Appleton Avenue all the way down past Capitol Drive. And check the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight. Chance for light snow later on, mostly cloudy skies, a low of 23. Tomorrow, a few morning snow showers, then mostly cloudy skies, a high of 31. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga, 94.5 ESPN.
Kevin Moret for Mentality. Most new clients of Mentality are stuck at just 1/3 the free testosterone they need, and that's a losing battle. Without enough free testosterone, nothing works. Your energy's gone, muscles weaken, and fat piles on. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Mentality's doctors bring your hormones back into balance so your body starts working again. More energy, stronger muscles, better results. This year, stop settling for a fraction of your potential. Start strong with our New Year offer at mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Dr. Aaron Holtebeck and his team at Holtebeck Eye Center make vision care a top priority with the latest technologies at their state-of-the-art Brookfield office. Dr. Holtebeck has been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years. And now, Holtebeck Eye Center is excited to add Dr. Nausheen Abbas to their team. Dr. Abbas is an ophthalmologist and cornea specialist that is now available to see patients. Located in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol, learn more about their services at holtebeck.com.
The only thing that tops our selection is your savings discount liquor.
The green and gold and playoff football. Are you going to be ready come game time? HD TVs in every room. Check. Green and gold flag out front. Check. Grill ready to fire up. Check. Chips, dips, cheesehead. Check, check, check. Now the real planning begins. A trip to Discount Liquor to complete your own personal playoff party. Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. Is beer on the menu? We'll set you up with your favorite or recommend something new. We have over 2,000 to choose from. What about liquor? Our variety is unmatched, as is our selection of wine. So if you want it, we've got it. Discount Liquor is your personal playoff party headquarters. Discount Liquor has everything you need, all at the lowest prices in town. Come see us today at 51st in Oklahoma and Milwaukee, and on Barstow and Main in downtown Waukesha. Open daily 9 to 9 and Sundays 10 to 2.
Discount Liquor.
Join the roar of 18,000 Bucs fans at Fiserv Forum and be a part of the slam dunks, game-changing plays, and electrifying victories live. Witness the edge-of-your-seat action and unforgettable moments as they happen. You don't want to miss this. Grab your calendar, handpick your favorite matchups, and secure your seats for Dame time in Milwaukee and every incredible moment that comes next at Bucs.com/tickets. That's Bucs.com/tickets.
Hey, this is Brad Nortman, here to tell you about my friends at Bank 5-9. Everywhere I go throughout the area, I see Bank 5-9, and it's no wonder why. Not only do they have 14 branch locations, but their employees spend nearly 9,000 hours each year volunteering in the communities that they serve. That's on top of the financial support that they provide to several hundred nonprofits right here in southeastern Wisconsin. If you're looking for a true local community bank, check them out today at bank59.com. Member FDIC.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
1, 2, 1.
Travel fans, listen up, explore the many shades of Ireland with me. 45 years I've never done this. I'm doing one of these trips. I'm sure it'll go great. Colette Vacations, August the 9th. August the 9th, we're heading off to an unbelievable journey. Explore the historic city of Dublin, kiss the famous Blarney Stone, stand on the spectacular cliffs of Moher, visit an Irish dairy farm, enjoy a taste or two at historic whiskey distillery, and stay in a medieval castle. Colette handles everything. Your job is to sign up. ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com. They've added that. ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com or text Homer to 1-800-990-3776. That, of course, the ESPN Milwaukee Talk and Text line. Visit ESPNMilwaukeeTravel.com. First time in 45 years. I can't think of. Bryan Bulaga, is there anything that you have not done in 45 years? You're not even 45 years old.
Yeah, so there's a lot that I have not done.
People don't realize how young you are. They have no idea. I mean, you've been retired from the NFL for 10 years, and you're like 31. That doesn't seem possible. Okay, what are the numbers? 32 to 9 is, of course, all I want people to remember from this show. Pebble, do you know how old? I think Bulaga's like 35, and he retired 4 years ago. Do you think that's accurate? I think
so. Yeah.
How do we do?
Yeah, I'm 35, and I retired. Well, yeah. What was it? 4 years ago? 3 years ago? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You got 35 years to be as old as me. I don't know if that's a positive thought or a negative thought. I don't really care. Man, this is not an area that I normally go, but like, I know it's amazing what you've accomplished in 35 years on this earth. Really? You look at it that way? It's been a good roll.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a journey. I'll say that, man. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been
now
fun.
You got kids, you got a family, and one day you'll get a degree. All right, never mind.
yeah, I get to do that eventually.
I want to be on record. Bryan Bulaga will never get a college degree unless he goes into another field of work. And then he'd have to get a degree. You'd have to get a degree before you can get a graduate degree, I think. But I'm not an expert on that because I'm the only one in our family. 7 brothers and sisters. They all have graduate degrees. Every single one but me. All right. Now, was I unfair? Because I would ask you where I didn't want to go with Jason because he was irritated. But aren't you wondering, and did you ever have a game where your game plan just failed and you're curious because you respected your coach or the quarterback? What were they thinking? Because you know it was based on something smart or positive, and it just was wrong.
Well, I mean, there was something that happened in 2014, that first game against Seattle, where we got blown out in Seattle. They wanted us tackles in the run game to pass set and for run blocking. They wanted us to pass that to make it look like a pass so that the DNs would run up the field and it would create a huge B gap.
Had you ever done that before?
No, and it didn't work. You only do that on draws. And it didn't work. Seattle did buy it. The DNs did not buy it. They
How
read
quickly
it right away.
did you change?
Well, we kept doing it for about a quarter and a half, and it didn't go well. Then we finally came off the sidelines at like around, probably sometime in the second quarter, and we're like, we can't keep doing this. It's not working. And by that time, we were down, I think 21-0, and we were throwing the ball every play anyway, so it didn't matter. So like it was over at that point, right? But this is what talking about the mush rush, right? Like, and I always loved when defenses mush rushed Aaron. I loved it. It was the best thing that defenses could do, because what the mush rush is it's just a containment rush where they just bull rush and try to squeeze a pocket in. And when you have a good offensive line like Philly does, and a bunch of guys that can hold up against bull rushes and got good hands and can fight in pass protection, you create so much time for your quarterback. And that's essentially what happened with Jalen Hurts. And that's essentially is what Hafley was admitting, is that Jalen Hurts had too much time in the pocket because we were just mush rushing. That's what he was saying. Instead of being aggressive and having a good rush plan, we wanted to contain him. And that's what he was admitting without, getting into
now
details.
We got it. Right.
And listen, and I hope the rush plan now you can't just go out of control, right? Like you just can't be pass rushing and opening up wide B gaps and A gaps for him to run out. You got to have a rush plan. Guys have to cover each other and make sure that you're smart. Can't be running high and wide and outside of them, because Mulata and Lane Johnson, the tackles are great. They're really good. They're going to take, if you want to run high and wide, they're going to take you high and wide. If you want to rush inside, they'll wipe you down inside, and there'll be a huge C gap for Jalen Hurts to move out of. So you got to be smart with your rushes.
You would have told him if you had known before game one, hey, it's not going to work. Is that what you would have told him? Yeah.
I would have said mush rush is not going to work against Philly. It's not going to work. You got to go after them. Like a perfect example would be like when we played Philly in the playoffs in 2010, we did not mush rush Michael Vick. They went after Michael Vick. Clay went after Mike Vick every single play. If you were going to mush rush somebody, it would be Mike Vick. They did not do that. They went after Mike Vick, because the best way to speed up that clock is to go after him. Make him feel like he has to try to escape out of the pocket or throw it or put the ball down and get out of there. Like if you just let him sit back there comfortably, he's going to pick you apart. And that's just and listen, Hurts is a good quarterback. He could throw the ball, and he's got those receivers. Like you can't do that. So the rush plan will definitely be different, and it has to be different, because you give Hurts with that offensive line 4 seconds to sit back there. No, not going to work.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. It was wise to give up with Jason. He was obviously not going to give the information that you just did. All right, fourth quarter. Sorry, I'm not as good as Jason and Bryan, but I'm a decent second. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN. What happens when you mix a 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year with a Packers Hall of Famer?
I'm not going to get into the Kringle turnover game, so that's what it needs to be. I think his legs. Yeah.
Wilde and Tausch, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
Like the pastry Are you guys being serious?
turnovers.
You guys can't put two.
I got it. I did not get it.
They don't call themselves Racine Danish
I'm
turnovers.
sorry. Sometimes I wonder about you two, man.
Catch him from 9 to noon right here on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
Great Midwest Bank has document imaging technology from James Imaging Systems, a 100% locally owned and managed business technology company. The bank's IT systems administrator, Michael Quizon, comments on the value of local.
We call on them at any point, they're there. We ask them any questions that we have, they're there.
James Imaging Systems, local business technology solutions, local support, local accountability. Luther Gray, Director of Ticket Operations and Group Sales for the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra.
If an issue does arise, they're very prompt, polite, and professional. It makes me feel empowered because I find it very easy to resolve something.
James Imaging Systems client, Al Leidinger, President of Matheson Manufacturing, summarized the benefit of local.
James Imaging has been a really good partner with us from the beginning.
Go with local. Go with James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com.
Let's get the latest from Lambeau. This is your Green and Gold Fix on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Tri-City National Bank offers a full suite of personal and business banking products at 28 convenient locations. Open your account today at the community bank that was voted Milwaukee's best bank. Learn more at tcnb.com.
Jordan Love was limited in practice on Wednesday after leaving Sunday's loss to the Bears with a right elbow injury. Although he has no more numbness in his hand that followed the injury, he has some soreness in his throwing elbow, which is why he was limited during the workout. Despite the issue, the Packers starting quarterback is still confident he can play this weekend.
See, yeah, hopeful.
Love said they'll wait until later in the week before he cuts it loose on the practice field. It's a wild card showdown between the Packers and Eagles Sunday from Philadelphia. Kickoff is set for 3:30.
This has been your Green and Gold Fix on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by Tri-City National Bank.
Family's bigger? Out of space? We can help you find a new place. Just make Tri-City your first call. We are here to help, loan large or small. Tri-City National Bank. Equal housing lender. NMLS 433891.
Are you heading into the new year with the same old joint pain? Or maybe you experienced a new injury that gives you joint pain that is nagging you. Hey, this is ESPN Wisconsin's Brad Nortman. There is no better time than the start of the year to refresh, renew, and say no to that joint pain. QC Kinetics is your go-to solution to get moving again in 2025. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine and joint preservation. They are right here in Greenfield and Mequon under the leadership of Medical Director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. When I visited the Greenfield location, QC Kinetics exposed me to a whole new world of regenerative medicine. So much in their toolkit to be able to get you your life back. They helped me, and they're going to help you with your own personalized journey to be able to make sure that you are starting 2025 back, active, and living a pain-free life. Call my friends at QC Kinetics for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics today at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee. Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Saganiac Planning, a name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service. That's what I used to say. Now I've added more. Saganiac Planning, name synonymous with employee benefits and top-notch service, and doing it well for over 50 years. That's how they're so good. And now I've added a fourth, which is probably the most important. Small enough to handle your needs with special attention as far as employee benefits, and large enough to have the clout to make it happen. Because, yes, how you're treated is going to be based on how these companies deal with Saganiac Planning and the respect they have with them, because the respect they have with Saganiac Planning means that they will take care of Saganiac Planning and all their clients like you. So, Saganiac Planning, named synonymous with employee benefits, top-notch service, over 50 years. And remember the number, 262-783. Roger Maris, 6161. Now is when I get selfish. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home and Franklin. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home and Franklin. I tell you because people listen to me. They go there. They love the place. And first they thank Fisco, appropriately so, because they're so good. Family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. You can't even imagine how long they've been doing what they're doing. That's why they're so good. And then eventually the person, because they have their auto body place, everybody needs an auto body place. They go, wow, Homer's the one who told us about this. Yeah, Homer! Helps my reputation. It's not the top of the list, but that's one way I benefit from Fisco Auto Body and Forest Home in Franklin. Fisco. Last chat with Bryan Bulaga means I got to ask about the offensive line. Everybody talks about how great the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles is. If you were getting ready for the game, what would be your mind frame and thoughts about what you can do, what you need to do? I guess knowing you, it would evolve around the group, not just you individually.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in this offensive line and going into this game against Philly, I mean, I would look at us as a collective thinking like Jason said it, we're going to have to run the ball well. Like, we understand that. That's kind of been what we've been as an offense this year, and we understand what our identity is. But in the back of my mind, we have to prepare that we're going to have to pass block really well. And that's ultimately how we're going to win this football game is Jordan Love's going to have to throw the football. So we have to mentally prepare that we got to be ready to hold up in pass protection and win this football game potentially through the air. Because Philly's going to come into this with that defense going, we are not letting, the Packers run the football. That's the way they're going to approach it. So Green Bay is going to have to throw them out of, stacking the box and selling out on the run. And that comes with pass protection. So
how early, how quickly will you be able to know what the look and idea is for the future of the game? Or does it take a half before you know for sure?
Probably first quarter, I'll have a really good feel of how it's going. Like, okay. you can see really quick.
Can you tweet? Please.
I can tweet.
Okay,
I can tweet. Yeah, I can tweet.
All right, now I got that part done. You know the score. Philly's last playoff game. What was it, Bryan Bulaga?
It was 32-9.
Yeah. Dr. Holterbeck Eye Center, I've been there, top of the line. He's been doing it. Dr. Holterbeck's been helping local patients with their eye care needs for over 20 years at the Brookfield office, but he wants to get even better, so he added to his team the addition of Dr. Nausheen Abbas. So he now has a place, and they're experts at even more things. That's the standard. Don't mess with your vision. Trust the experts. Experts with an S. From Holterbeck Eye Center in Brookfield near the corner of Calhoun and Capitol. Learn more about their services at holterbeck.com. 32-9, the Marquette Basketball Hour. 6th ranked in the country. Did I say that loudly enough? Next.
We're dealing with an accident on southbound 43, right about at Fond du Lac Avenue. It is off on the right shoulder. Luckily, southbound's not looking too horrible.